What's up, everybody? Half naked here, just took a shower. On my way to a writing date with a buddy. I'll check in with you after, let you know how it goes. Hit that subscribe button, and if you like this video, if you like writing, hit that like button so we know what topics to bring you. Let's go. So the first big question about this writing date is, what am I gonna write about? That's one of my biggest challenges when it comes to actually finishing a book, is I often feel inspiration and I'll get in, I'll write several pages or a whole chapter, and I'm never really come back to put a full book together. Probably means I should be a blogger or something like that, but I've done that for years, and I'd really rather put a book together at this point in my life. I don't know exactly. If you're an author, go ahead and let me know in the comments and give us some advice here. But it seems to me like the most important part about writing a book is being willing to read and reread and edit the things that you've already written. I'm sure there's all kinds of things that are important, like outlines and looking at through stories and organization and all sorts of different things. But it seems to me like the most important one is a willingness to read, reread, and edit multiple times a lot of stuff that we've written ourselves. I think there's a bigger question for me that's kind of a meta though. What is worth it? What am I willing to? Some balance between willing and worth it to spend the time writing. I mean, I imagine I can do this pretty optimally as well and parallel this along with several other projects, but what is worth my time? Like, does anyone want to hear about my life at this point? You don't know who I am yet, unless, this is a few years from now. Let's be optimistic. A few months after this blows up, after this channel goes huge. But otherwise, no one knows me yet, right? So there's not really much of a motivation to just write about my life. Certainly there could be content from my life. It could be, and then what's the question? Useful, motivating, interesting, just something that grabs people. I guess I can ask myself, what's my motive, right? Is my motive to get on the New York Times bestseller list, or is it to really try to change the world? Or is it to try to represent myself well? Or is it to try to bear all and just come clean about absolutely all the deep, dark secrets in my life? So on and so forth. And these are questions, and I can acknowledge these questions and go ahead and start to try to answer these questions. So that might be what we sort of get into today in this hour-long writing session before we gotta head over to the silent disco. Okay, so I haven't arrived yet, but I'm getting excited right now about starting to write a screenplay for me to shoot my lifestyle right now. So basically take the video skills that we've been developing together and shoot a full-length feature, kind of like a memoir about the current state of my life, with the conflict kind of being like, I've made it to the top and I don't know if I get to stay. I don't want to go back to these dead-end careers. I live in paradise, but I gotta find something better to do. The clock is ticking, and sort of give people an introduction throughout my life here at Paradise. With the climax, honestly, me not knowing what's coming could be terrible. Awesome exercise, and we're just talking about writing a screenplay, so we'll see. That's an idea that's coming up for me right now. Actually, hit like if you like that idea. Send me comments and stuff if you think that would be cool. Yeah, very curious. Very, very curious. Let me see. What other ideas? Okay, so here's two more. One is, how do I explain it? Basically, there's this particular scene in my life that I feel like would appeal to specifically men, regardless of their level of evolution. And I feel like I can paint this desirable picture and leave it completely true and appeal to to all levels. And then chapter 2 appeals only to level 2 and higher. And I want to leave those level 1s motivated to be like, wait, this wasn't the level of selfish depravity that I thought? Oh, and use that as the hook, the motivation, the carrot to draw men up through motivation to evolve until people get at the end of the book, they get the true full picture of what's actually going on in the situation. It's not this sexy, selfish, depraved picture. It's actually the way I've arrived there as being my absolute goodest in full transparency, vulnerability, so on and so forth. Really interesting setup. I could probably work on the elevator pitch. Okay, the other idea, this is the third idea I've shared with you now. I just came up with this, is to basically write out the curriculum that I wish I was raised by, or the curriculum that I would like to ideally raise my kids by, and then go ahead and apply that to myself now and have that be what the book's about, sort of the retraining of myself. And I get to, so I'm basically gonna be writing not exactly a lesson plan, but like a developmental theory, maybe on the tactical side. So it is sort of like a developmental approach, or a kind of school academic curriculum, so on and so forth. You know, instead of math and English and history and science class, maybe I'd be talking about learning how to socialize well, network, be likable, connect with people through emotional intimacy, and navigate conflict resolution. Things like understanding money, macro and micro, and actually getting people out into the real world as soon as possible, so that we're not in our heads learning skills that might be useful for us 20 years later, but we're actually in the real world as entrepreneurs from a very young age, so on and so forth. Let me know, vote in the comments. Let me know what book you think you'd be most interested in reading. Oh my gosh, that was fantastic. Okay, first, kudos to my buddy who is not even a part of the co-working stuff that me and my other friends have been spinning up, but he's reached out to people to get together during a few time slots per week, 1 hour at a time. He does a 1 minute each check-in right at the beginning of how's the weather, how is your emotions, and what are you gonna write about? And then he gets down to business for 1 hour. That's it. Gosh, I love it. And it's super supportive. It's so important to have good people around in your life, right? That would not have written itself. Really, I owe a huge thanks to this buddy. Thank you. What did I write about? Drum roll. So the big winner is the screenplay. I was really jazzed about the screenplay idea, and I think it gives me a chance to, in a more controlled, rich fashion, introduce a lot of the things that I've been sharing with you. And honestly, compared to all the hours of footage now that we've shared together, it would actually be more condensed. And so I have a full-length feature that gives you a look into my life, like maybe even goes through a day in my life, and talks about also the challenges I'm facing right now in the career transitions, whether or not I even get to stay in paradise, but also introduces things like the absolute richness that has developed in me over the past year or two, and be able to get this out to the world and re-deliver the message that was really the origin of the start of this channel, when the brand was more specifically Real Good and Real Good Life. And the uncovery work, the somatics and the uncovery work has really transformed my life. It's so important to me. Oh gosh, and it could really unlock a door that made that my new path, whether the new path was movies or influencer, weird overnight celebness, or the ability to do uncovery workshops and develop that material with people, or all of the above. So I'm really excited. We went with the screenplay. Would love to hear your comments. Hit like if you like the idea of me publishing something. Hit like if you'd like to see this movie. Hit like if you dug the video. Hit like, hit subscribe, share this with your friends. I appreciate you. It's real good. It's going to keep getting better. It's time for the silent disco dance. I'll see y'all real soon. I appreciate you. Good night.